Then. Okay, so hello everyone. My name's Rachael Lowe. I'm from Physiopedia, and today I'm talking to Clodagh Dunlop, who's in Northern Ireland. Hi, Clodagh.
Hi, Rachel.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. Um, Without wanting to tell your story for you, I will say that you're not a physiotherapist, although you have had a lot of experience of physiotherapy, and we would really like to learn a little bit about that from you today. So perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about your story. Introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then maybe you could just tell us your story so that we can, so that the people who are listening to this or watching this can have an understanding of where you're coming from and why we're talking to you today.
It was April 2015. I was fit and healthy police officer in the police service of Northern Ireland. I would say I was at the height of my fitness. I was a female officer, just got recruited to the riot squad within the police service. And it was on the 6th of April 2015 that I took a massive brainstem stroke. And as a result of the stroke, developed locked-in syndrome. So I spent many months locked in.
So it's only 2 years ago. And the experience that you've been through, I'm really impressed that you're here with us today and being able to talk to us about this, which is amazing because I know that you've gone through quite a journey, haven't you, back to health. So could you tell us a little bit about your experience of, first of all, of the locked-in syndrome that you experienced after your stroke?
Locked-in syndrome is a condition that I'm sure physiotherapists understand. Initially, for months, all I could move were my eyelids. Every part of me was completely paralyzed. I couldn't speak. It was when I was in intensive care on the first week locked in, where I was cognitively intact, that I was introduced to physiotherapists for the first time. Initially, their interaction with me was quite limited, just to assess what movement I had, and it was through, I think, their interaction that we established I had locked-in syndrome. But it was when I was moved out of the intensive care ward in the Royal Victoria Hospital in Belfast that I moved up to the stroke ward that I began to have physiotherapy every day. It would have been after the third week in hospital. Physiotherapists would place me, would hoist me from my hospital bed onto a plinth where there would be five of them with me, two behind me to ensure that my trunk was in position, someone holding my head as I had no head or neck control, someone in front of me, and then someone behind that to check that I would blink that I was okay. And we started this every day for months and months, trying to get my brain to re-engage my legs, just simply standing or sitting.
So that 5 physios, I know you said to me in an email that you feel like you could be a physio now after your experience of all that time in
Yes.
physiotherapy. And 5 physios is a lot of physios to deal with for you. So you have got a lot of experience of being on the other end of what we practice. So let's see, what do you think? Tell us about your experience of physiotherapy. I think it's really interesting that the physios were involved with you, from practically from week one right through till the end. So you've had experience of being with the physios and them working with you, right from the beginning when you were really vulnerable to right through to the end and seeing you into the position where you are now, and I believe you're back at work now and everything, aren't you? So, yeah. So, uh, tell us a little bit about your experience of having physiotherapy, and be totally honest because we really want to learn from you.
I would always say that I have very little criticism of the therapists that I had, of all the physios. They engaged with me every day. They were very patient. All of them were unlike other therapists from other departments where they didn't give me false hope and they didn't give me no hope. They just worked with me there and then on the day. I would tell my physiotherapist when I was in rehab that my aim was to run again. And she never told me you won't, and she never said you will. She was always, we'll just focus on today. And that was the one thing I got from today. And I think with the condition, that's what was the best treatment, just focus on the here and the now. Um,
I
I
mean,
have nothing praise for my physiotherapist. Uh, I had a lot of other therapists who would tell me I had to accept the reality of my condition, that I had to accept that I was locked in. Whereas I really enjoyed physiotherapy because they didn't tell me that I was going to get better. They just worked with my condition as it was every day, and we worked to make just the small things better.
that's such an important message. I think is to reinforce is that it's really important to think about the here and now, which is what you just mentioned, and just working with what's presenting in front of you, and and I think your message about not giving false hope and not giving no hope is a really good message as well, isn't it? Just to sort of focus on what you can do today, and then have those goals as well. How important was it for you to have those goals and to think about those?
It was really important to have goals. Initially, when I got any small movement, it was working with my physios to make that movement more functional. Initially, when I got some hand and finger movement on my left hand, we wanted to make that movement functional because I couldn't press the nurse call button. So when I went to physiotherapy and I was put into a hoist from the wheelchair, my physiotherapist would always hand me the hand control and encourage me to hoist myself up and onto a plinth, and every little thing they could do to encourage and improve movement, they did, from helping me even to tie my shoes. And they would be patient. Most people would want to assist me, but it would take me 10 minutes to tie my shoes. But all my physiotherapists were happy to sit and talk to me whilst I tried it myself. And I think one thing I've learned is that physiotherapists have great patience.
It's a really important quality for a physiotherapist to have, and I think also to hear you mention that patience is really important. To hear it from you is really good for us to hear as well, because sometimes we will rush our treatments and sometimes our time is limited. So patience is key. You're saying.
Patience is really important, especially with my condition. I couldn't move at all, and I couldn't understand initially why I was going to physiotherapy because I couldn't move. So I didn't understand what physiotherapists could do with me. I was completely paralyzed. But they took time and patience, 5 of them gathering every day to put me in a standing position. And we did that for months. And as soon as I got any little movement, any flickers, they would work on that and continue to improve on that. And they never give up on me. I remember there were times when maybe I felt that, am I going to get any better? Am I going to improve? But they would always make me focus on the here and the now. We'll make small gains and they'll turn into hopefully bigger gains. My physiotherapist was always, let's work on the small things and they will become big things.
So, Clodagh, tell me a little bit about how long were you in hospital and and you obviously had physiotherapy every day, so I'm just interested to hear how much physiotherapy contact you had.
I was in hospital for 7.5 months, and during that period, I had physiotherapy every day, 5 days a week, for 1 hour a day. So I'd spent a lot of time with physiotherapy. When I was discharged from hospital, I had physiotherapy 3 days a week in my home, and then we developed that to, I was able to go to the local hospital and have physiotherapy a couple of days a week. And I remember being very excited when I returned to driving and I was able to drive myself to physiotherapy and walk in. Like, it's like I almost cried with excitement. It was a really big step to go from being wheeled in a hospital bed, hoisted by physiotherapists, to drive myself in and one physiotherapist meeting me. Yes.
It's
I
an,
think physiotherapists and I have become really good friends. The
yeah.
physiotherapists.
It's an amazing. It's such an amazing story. So inspiring. Now, so tell us a little bit about what you're up to now, because I think I've already mentioned. I believe you're back at work, aren't you?
Yes, I returned to work in October, which was 18 months after I had the brainstem stroke and locked-in syndrome, and returned to driving the same week as I returned to work. I'm now back to work over 6 months, absolutely enjoying it. It feels like I've got my life back, which is always what I've been fighting to do.
Yeah.
Really enjoying hearing my colleagues complain about small things. I'm back in the police service. I do now have disabilities, but they don't stop me from doing anything. Yes, I have to think about how to do things perhaps differently when I drive. My car is adapted to meet my needs, but it doesn't stop me. Um, Monday is my birthday and I'm heading to Barcelona, so having disabilities and having this happen doesn't stop me from travelling or doing anything that I previously enjoyed. On my first anniversary from having the stroke and lockdown syndrome, I went skydiving and
Did
that was
you?
incredible.
That's amazing.
Yes, so that was wonderful. I always described when I was locked in that when you lie there, you're completely paralyzed. There's not a part of you can move. And so at night, I would dream about having skydived in Namibia and the wind just rushing into my face and the freedom of my limbs moving. And then you woke into your own nightmare every day where if you had an ache or an itch, you couldn't move, you couldn't scratch, you couldn't indicate to anybody that you're in pain. So one of my goals was that I would skydive again, and it was wonderful to do it. My first anniversary.
What did you do on your second anniversary? Did you do anything that?
My second anniversary, I it was a lot tamer. I had two dogs, which I got after the stroke, and took them for a walk along the beach. I have a real love of the
Yeah.
seaside, so I drove them to the beach and walked them along the beach, and that was wonderful. I have a real genuine love of the outdoors and really appreciate being able to get outdoors and walk.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, what goals do you have for the future? Have you got any specific goals now?
I used to not look too far in the future, but I find the more my health continues to improve, I start to make more plans. I like to get promotion at work. Um, I have, at the moment, I've ordered an adventure bike, and I used to be a big runner, so at the moment I can't run, but I'm going to work on being able to cycle, continue rehabbing, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to run again. I know my walking won't ever be perfect, but I'd always said to my physiotherapist, I will be the best that I can be, and they've worked with me to help that I can be the best I can be.
And are you still working with the physios now?
No, I got discharged from physiotherapy in February. Though I still have contact with my physiotherapist in rehab, we I get Botox injections in my right arm, which is more effective than my left. So I would still have contact with physiotherapy, and they really neurophysios really impressed me. They know every muscle and every small muscle. It was incredible. My physiotherapist, I didn't believe that physios could know my body perhaps better than I would know it. I remember my physio when we had to tell me, try move your arm. And I thought, she doesn't know what I'm trying not, so I didn't try. And she said to me as I lay there paralyzed, I know you're not trying. And it was amazing. Then when I did try, she was like, yes, I can feel flickers. And that blew me away that she could feel my own body and know it better even than I knew it. It was incredible.
So you've had, we've said already, you've had an awful lot of experience of physiotherapy, and probably about it, but more than most people ever have. So you are in a really good position to advise us on your experiences we've talked about how you've mentioned how it's really important to work in the here and now. It's really important to have goals. And it's really important not to give up. So we've talked about those sorts of things, but your experience of all those physiotherapists and all that time with physiotherapists, what kind of advice do you have? And feel free to, you know this more than anyone. So please, what advice do you have for us as physiotherapists when we're working with individuals who've had a stroke or other neurological condition? What are the things you'd like to say back to us in our profession that can help other people?
I would always feel very privileged. My physiotherapist had real patience. As a stroke survivor, I had terrible emotional ability. So whenever we achieved something new, like being able to sit or stand, I would laugh and cry, but my physiotherapist would never acknowledge it. They worked away, they didn't react to my emotions. Um, I think a big thing once I was discharged, a lot of people expect physiotherapists just make them better instantly, but I had always accepted that my physiotherapist wouldn't make me better. I would have to work with her to get better, and they really worked with me, providing me a home program. They know that I'm very independent, so they always provided a home program that I could do myself and manage myself, even when I had limited movement, from being able to do small things in bed. And we've increased that program. And I think having a home program and telling people that you also have to work at this, we can't make you better ourselves, but we will assist you. And I guess pressing on people, you personally have to take charge of your rehabilitation. I would say rehabilitation is like a recipe where you have all the ingredients, and physiotherapy is just one part of that.
Yeah, yeah. What are the other parts of the recipe with physiotherapy?
Well, for my rehabilitation, I would always say there were many aspects to the recipe. I had occupational therapists who also came in and worked alongside the physiotherapist. I had speech and language therapy, had to work alongside the physiotherapist when I was in rehabilitation. Initially, for about the first 5 months, I couldn't speak or make a sound, so my physiotherapists all had to learn to use an IKEA spell board. And my physiotherapist would say she was absolutely terrified of this girl that was completely paralyzed, couldn't move, couldn't talk, but yet she could blink out lots of things on this spell board, and I was very clear in my directions and what I wanted to say. And I think I think physiotherapists, I guess most people know, they have to work alongside all their therapies to make everything work.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a key thing. It's really important that we work closely with all the other healthcare professionals in the hospital and on your team, because I think that you're right in saying it's a recipe, what brings everything together, and then you're the person that brings it together in the middle. So it's so inspiring to talk to you today. You are amazing. You've had an amazing journey, and you've done so well. And I have no doubt that you are going to improve and reach some of the goals that you're planning on. Are there any other things that you've learned that you would like to share with the physiotherapy profession that they can learn from you?
I would always say that in my time I have met numerous physiotherapists and all of them I've enjoyed, but there was just one who told me, you're going to a nursing home and ex- explain my condition. And I think it was the one that I would always say I've learned that you need to get to know the patient as an individual, look at them as an individual. Yes, you have an overall prognosis of it may not, but let the individual work at it, and who knows where it'll go or what the end goal will be.
I think that's a really important message, because everyone has different motivations and different levels of motivation, don't they? And so getting to understand the people that we're working with is really important message. I'm glad that you were motivated and had a strong willpower to work with everyone to get to where you are today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us while we're talking today?
I just have nothing but respect for physiotherapists, and my physiotherapy team in both the Royal Victoria Hospital and Musgrave were exceptional, and as I say, I've nothing but praise. While they met lots of individuals who I might have gave learning points to, I can say that I was very privileged in that all my physiotherapists displayed great patience, great kindness, and worked with me, and have really helped get me to where I am today, to help return to work, return to driving. As I say, they've never said, no, you can't do anything, but just a really big thing is work with the condition here today.
Oh, I mean, I think in some ways you give us as a profession too much credit, because I think most of it's down to you.
So yeah, I can honestly say my physiotherapists have been wonderful, and I know individually they haven't made me better, but my physiotherapist understood and took the time to understand the person that I was.
Yeah.
Before April 2015,
Yeah.
I ran a 7-minute mile, and I was determined to be able to run a 6-minute mile. And my physiotherapist understood that if I was determined to get to 6-minute mile, then during my therapy I would still have the same determination as a person. I hadn't changed. It was really getting to know who I was.
Yeah. So I think to recap, I think you've really brought out some very, very good messages for physios. Patience, really important. Getting to know the person that they're working with, really important as well. And I think it's really important to think about what you just mentioned, and getting to know them before they have their stroke or neurological condition, so that you can understand what motivates them and things like that. That's an important thing that sometimes we don't think about doing. And then goals, so working with you on your goals, however big or small, and then never giving up. So I think there are some really important messages there that we can all learn from. So, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and to share some of those experiences with you. Clodagh, is there anything that you are working on, or any projects or anything that you'd like to share with us that we can support with you?
I'm always a big advocate for all stroke charities. As I say, recovery is like a recipe, and I always support my local charity, Northern Ireland Chest, Heart and Stroke, and again the Stroke Association. So if anybody can ever assist them in any fundraising, the Stroke Association was wonderful. They helped provide me a cross trainer. Northern Ireland Chest, Heart and Stroke run post-recovery exercise classes. And though all the charities can't make you better, like physiotherapists, you all work together to improve the person's condition. I'd say if you ever get the opportunity to run for a stroke association or fundraise, do so.
I think that's a really good one. Do some running for a stroke charity for you and with you. Is there any way, are you on Twitter or anything? Is there anywhere we can find you?
I have a Facebook site which I started at 6 weeks after I took my stroke.
Oh,
Called, yes, I know, Clodagh Dunlop, hashtag beating locked in. I set up my Facebook page when all I could do was blink my eyes. I was
oh
quite
wow.
persistent that I wanted a Facebook page and that I knew it would make some sort of recovery. I didn't know how it would end or when it would end, but I set up the page and I have an Instagram, Clodagh Beating Locked In.
Okay.
I'm on social media.
Right. We will share those links so that people know where to find you and find out more about you. And Clodagh, I have no doubt that you are going to go big places, and I wish you all the best for the future in everything that you would like to do. And I must congratulate you on being so strong and motivated to get to where you are today. Thanks so much for talking to us and for sharing your story. It's a real inspiration.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you via the laptop.
And you. Bye bye.
Bye.